Good morning, everybody. We'll start in about 3 minutes.
Hi, Tanner.
Hi, Devon.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's begin. On your screen, you should see a sample paper in regards to the paper topics that we're going to be doing this semester. I refer you to our Blackboard account. And in our Blackboard account, there is what is called a writing assignment file folder. In that writing assignment file folder is the list of paper topics, which you all have already selected, and the sample, this sample that I'm going to be showing you. Remember, this paper is due May 20th. It's based on the topics that you guys have given me thus far, and it represents 15% of your course grade. This sample paper might help some of you understand what you need to do. This is, as you can see, if for some of you, this is an APA formatted paper with a title page, an abstract explaining what the paper is trying to determine, and then the doing the analysis and the explanation of the paper topic. And this paper happens to be, as you can see, 7 pages long with an appendix explaining personal stock investments, which was the nature of this paper. Additional appendixes providing information. And then finally, a reference page of works cited in the paper. This is the format that I expect you all to do in your paper topic. You don't have to have appendixes or graphs or anything if it's not necessary in the type of paper you're doing, but you will need to have the reference page of works that you have cited, their references, and you also will have to have naturally the core of the paper. And as you can see, it's double spaced, which is nice to read for me. You have an abstract, excuse me for doing this quickly, abstract which explains the paper, and most importantly, a title page explaining what class this is, the name of the paper, who's your professor, the class, and the date that you're posting this paper. Any of these things are missing in your document, you will be docked points. So make sure you follow this sample paper. This is, for lack of a better term, this could be for some of us, and this is a stretch here, a senior thesis. But that's a stretch, a big time stretch. Senior thesis is representing usually a course grade. But at the same time, it's a way of explaining a topic that you have chosen, that you have some interest in, of doing a little research, and then explaining how that, what that research indicates to you, and putting it together in a professional student manner, APA format, following this style. Again, this style is in your Blackboard. It's available for you to look at, to follow. And if you have any questions about the style, if you have any questions about how you will present your topic, you let me know. In the subsequent weeks in this course, I will be providing outlines of areas that, for the variety of topics that you have chosen. For, let's say you chose topic 12, all right? I will give a brief outline of sources and information that you could look at to do some research and get some additional information. Naturally, you can use your own sources, your own information, your own ways of doing it. But at the same time, some of us might need a little pointing in the right direction. Also those outlines and those information sources will kind of give you an idea what I expect the type of research or type of analysis you are doing. That would be a little bit more important to you about what I expect from you. So again, you have basically 2 months to do this. So you have plenty of time, and let's see if we can put this together in that regard. So again, follow-up questions you can give me. In subsequent weeks, I'll be giving outlines or research pointers for the variety of topics. I will group topics by subject in the outline to give you relevant sources, and I'll explain that as it comes through in the following weeks. All right. Okay, so that's that. Excuse me, the paper is not on screen, Julio just told me. I thought I had it. All right, hang on. Now you should see it, Julio. Tanner, give me a thumbs up. Do you see the paper on the screen? Thank you, sir. So again, this paper explanation or this example of the paper is in your Blackboard under writing assignment, and you can go ahead and take a look at it at the format that I just mentioned. And by the way, I am recording this class today. The recording will be up in our YouTube playlist probably by the end of the day. So if you want to review this class today, or tell any of your homeboys who happen to not be here today in class that that recording of this class will be on our YouTube playlist later on today. Okay. So again, thank you for pointing that out to me, Julio. So again, the paper is to have an APA format with the proper title page, an abstract page, and most importantly, a works cited page or reference page. If you want to include appendixes for graphs and that sort of thing or additional information, that's fine. That is not necessary. But title page, abstract, and works cited or reference page. All right, very good. Now, let me bring something else up here. Okay, you should see on your page quiz number 2, which you all posted on Sunday, or most of you posted on Sunday. And here are the solutions. The solutions are now posted in Blackboard. The grades are not, because I still was awaiting some postings, and they were made last evening. And so I do not post all the grades until I get all the students in. And so those are now posted. So I'll be working on those today. So you'll see those. I'll send you an email as soon as the grades are posted. But here are the solutions. You can look at these if you'd like. They're posted into the quiz number 2 file folder in Blackboard. Each of the 5 questions is worth 20 points. And it's asking you a variety of information from our chapters of the last couple of weeks. And a couple things to note on this. Example, question number 1. If an adjustable rate mortgage for $120,000 starts at 5.5% and increases to 6.5%, what amount of the increase is of the monthly payment? Well, first of all, you have to determine the monthly payment. And that information is taken right out of your textbook. There's a page in the textbook that gives you the various dollar amounts per thousand of various interest rates. You do that, you end up that the mortgage monthly payment for the 5.5% is $682.60. For 6.5%, it's $758.40. That gives you the answer to the problem. No problem, Julio. If you used an online mortgage calculator, that is fine. If you used the present value tables that from your calculator or from your Excel spreadsheets, and you'd use that, that's fine. I'm just relaying this to the textbook, and if you use those calculators, you might be a little bit off, but not much. That is fine. Don't worry about that. However you calculated it, if you came up with approximately $76.80 difference in the monthly payments, could have come up with 77, 77.05, whatever, that is fine. Do not worry about that. If you don't match this number exactly, don't start your day off with doom and gloom. It's just I'm looking for, generally speaking, what areas you're in, and I'm using the textbook example of calculations in question number 1. But the answer is right around $77 difference on a monthly basis. What are the 2 advantages of renting? I'll give you a multiple amount of advantages. It's mobility, fewer responsibilities. Usually you're not have to be concerned with maintenance and repairs. It's less expensive. You don't have to pay closing costs, real estate fees, anything like that. Those are the general advantages of renting. Mainly convenience, mobility, less responsibility for the maintenance of the upkeep. Question number 2. Question number 3. The main types of risk associated with related to your home and vehicle. In other words, the risk of damage and the risk of injuries. All right, property damage, people damages. Those are the generally most of the risk. And notice how simple I just put a sentence down to answer that question. I know some of you gave some longer answers, but I was generally looking for some explanation of the 2 risks or main types of risk is risk to damage. damage to your automobile, your house gets trashed in a tornado, whatever, and damages for injuries. If you get injured in an automobile accident, if you get injured at home, a household accident, those are the two main risks associated with that. That's what I was looking for. Question number 4, discuss the 100, 350 means and liability. We went over this quite a bit. 100 means $100,000 is the maximum amount the insurance company will pay for injuries of any person involved in an accident. The second number, 300 means 300,000, the maximum amount the company will pay all injured parties, 2 or more. And the third number, $50,000, is the maximum amount the company will pay for damage to the property of others. $100,000 maximum for one injury, $300,000 maximum for 2 or more injuries, $50,000 maximum to property. So that I was looking for that. And then finally, I wanted you to price out your portfolio as of Friday, April 3rd. How has your portfolio performed? Wait till you see mine. It's a friggin' disaster. And what has been the dollar and the percentage gain or loss? That's a key. Dollar, percent gain or loss. How has your portfolio performed versus the market indicators? All right. All right. So let's bring up that. Here's my disaster portfolio as of April 3rd. The original portfolio was dated February 14th. There's my investment in Exxon, Home Depot, 3M, and Wells Fargo. Adios, Professor Hasse. And there's the market indicators there. Well, we take a look at it on April 3rd, last Friday. I lost 31,000 clams. Boy, what an expert I am. All right. I got caught in this bad market. Naturally, a lot of us did. I lost 31% of my portfolio in a little over 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Now compare that to the market. The Dow dropped 27%. The S&P 500 dropped 26%. And the NASDAQ exchange dropped 24%. So I did not outperform the market. Is Riley, good morning, Riley. Hope you're well. We missed you on Monday. The dollar amount just the number of shares times the price of stock. That's exactly right. If this file is posted to Blackboard to quiz number 2 file folder, this is my Excel spreadsheet calculation, and notice my original shares were determined by taking the amount of the investment divided by the original stock price back on February 14th. Then I copied down those share amounts as values, and then I determined the new share price on April 3rd. I multiplied that share price times the number of shares to get my new value of my investment in Exxon, Home Depot, 3M, and Wells Fargo. And notice, compared to the $100,000, now with those changing stock prices from my original buy of shares, I've gone down to $68,000. Adios, don't tell my wife about this. I'm in big trouble. We're not going on vacation this year. Probably won't go on vacation anyways, the way that everything is. But I lost 31%. Definitely Mr. Hasse is not the Wolf of Wall Street. All right. And then compared that to the delta of the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. Notice what I did in this calculation. I took the difference between the original Dow and the Dow on April 3rd. There was the dollar, not the index difference. Then I divided that index difference by the original value on April 14th, and I get the percentage change. So if you go to the Wall Street Journal last Saturday and you go to the index listing of all the exchanges, you will see a 27.16% drop in the Dow for that time period. Same with S&P, same with NASDAQ. They did better than Professor Hasse. So that's what I was looking for in your spreadsheet for the portfolio. You're going to be doing this 2 more times in our class. One more time with our next examination, and another time at the end of our semester. And each time you're going to ask to tell me the dollar loss, the percentage loss, and the percentage loss of the various index, okay? You're going to be doing a couple other things in those examinations. Bless you, Julio. You're going to be doing a couple other things in your work, but this is the core of what I'll be looking for, how your selection has done versus the market. And so that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I was looking for in quiz number 2. Again, this sample, this spreadsheet showing all the calculation cells and everything is posted in Blackboard. So if you're still having a difficult time with yours, you might want to download that template and use it for future reference. Let me make sure there's no more questions on this. Nope, we're all set. So that's the final question on the quiz that I'll be looking at. And it has to be in a spreadsheet format. If you just put this in a Word or a PDF document, you lose 10 points. So make sure spreadsheets are there. Jacob, thumbs up. Did you do this correctly? All right, attaboy. Thank you. All right.
This time.
Good. Okay. Good job. All right. Just let me just break away for a minute. Jacob and some of our athletes in our class. I am a FAR representative, which is a faculty athletics representative, and we're going to be having an online meeting next week with the SCIAC representatives talking about the future of athletics in these coronavirus times. Naturally, the spring athletics got canceled, which is a bummer. Now the big question is what the hell we're going to do come the fall. There's still definitely going to be some concerns about safety and that in the fall, and what are some of the discussions going to be. And now some of you who are non-SCIAC athletes at our university, you're still probably worried about pro football, baseball, hockey, basketball, what's going on with that. Well, there's a lot of discussions in the professional sports about bringing back the games, but with empty stadiums and a more confined space where the teams will play. Fine. I don't know if many of the major players are going to like that, but that's the discussion. Now in college athletics, that's a whole different story. We don't have those kind of facilities where teams can come together and play a season. So we're going to be having a discussion about this. Now I'm going to tell you something off the record, but if I was a betting man, I'm going to be willing to bet that the fall athletic schedule will be postponed to the winter. And the winter schedule will still go on. Now, if you have athletes that play both sports, they have to pick one. The spring sports will still go on as is next year, but the fall sports like football, soccer, I think some water polo and men is a fall sport, those will all be postponed to begin in January when it's going to be a little safer. Now that is Professor Hassey's interpretation, and that's what the SCIAC people are now talking about. Now, if you run to Byrne in an email saying, hey, Hassey says we're not going to have football in the fall, I'm going to deny all of that I said in that regard. But at the same time, that's my feeling of what might happen with our fall sports is they might be postponed to the winter season. Still, you're still going to play. It's just those athletes who are double sports, they're going to be a little bit shortchanged, but then everybody will get to play. So that's a little side note of things that are developing with the upcoming seasons. And a lot of you already know this week it was announced that our commencement has been canceled. And that is a bummer as far as I'm concerned for seniors or anybody who wanted to share that with their parents. Sorry about that, but I think everybody can realize that that is a very important thing to be careful of because of the safety issues and that sort of thing. So again, I want to not apologize, but also say sorry for that, you losing your commencement, but hopefully something can get worked out and we can go forward on that. Okay, let's change the topic and get a little bit more upbeat and move forward. Remember we talked about on Friday, we saw a couple of videos, my introduction video, saw a couple of videos in regards to health insurance and what is insurance, what is co-insurance, what is HMO, what is PPOs. And I asked to look at a couple of problems on page 312 of your text that give examples of determining policies, determining costs in certain situations of health insurance. And I want to go over these because you might see some questions like this in future assignments. And again, this is on page 312 of your text. It's problems 6, 7, and 8 in our examples. These are the solutions of those problems, and they are posted in Blackboard as a study guide. Now remember, we had 3 basically different types of insurance plans to choose from when we talked about on Monday. You have what is called a HMO plan. An example of that is Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente is an HMO plan. But also, that's for a specific plan where you get health insurance is a little bit cheaper. But at the same time, you have to, because it's cheaper, you are not designated which doctor you can use. The network or the provider, the HMO, will tell you where to go to get treatment, who's your doctor, and so on. You also have what is called a PPO plan, a preferred provider plan, which is a little bit more expensive, but you get to choose certain services. You get to choose certain doctors that you can use. Now, Kaiser Permanente, which is an HMO, also has a PPO plan. Blue Cross Blue Shield also has a PPO plan or an HMO plan. You have different options, and it all relates to cost and what you're able to afford. And then finally, there's the private or co-insurance plans like Obamacare or Blue Cross Blue Shield, where you just sign up with a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, which is a provider network, and you deal with and you get the services that are provided by them. Professor Hassey is in a plan called Huntington Partners. It's out of Pasadena. Huntington Partners is a plan where it's run out of Huntington Hospital, and the doctors have a network in that network. And the reason I chose Huntington Hospital or Huntington Providers is because my doctor, my wife's doctors, are all in that plan. We get to choose those doctors. Naturally, it costs a little bit more, but when you get to be an old gangster like Professor Hassey, you need to worry a little bit more about doctors and medical attention. So at the same time, I get to pick that, and that costs me a little bit more, but that is a provider network that I've chose. Pomona Valley Hospital here in Claremont and Pomona, and Laverne and San Dimas. Pomona Valley Hospital has an Inter-Valley health plan, which you choose that network and those doctors in that plan. So that's how that works. But then also there's Obamacare. There's the National Health Affordable Act, where you can choose the federal government of providing you health care. You pay into it, or your employer pays into it, and you can get the benefits of that plan. That is considered basically an HMO plan. You go whatever their network is, whatever their doctors are, and it's a cheaper plan naturally, but it gives you the ability to get medical checkups, and a case for hardships, surgeries, and that sort of thing, and a different type of plan. So that's what we talked about on Monday. That, in addition to disability insurance, which is if you become injured, you can get reimbursed your income that you're losing due to a medical or a health emergency. You can get disability insurance. But let's take a look at these problems on page 312, because they give us an example of these costs and how to calculate them. One of the things, and we talked about this on Monday, that you're going to need to be aware of is when you take a job, or if you're working now, you have to be aware of what are the responsibilities of the health plan that you have. What are the costs? What are your co-pays? What are the maximum amounts of insurance given to you? If those maximum amounts are reached, what are your options? Where do you go next to getting additional coverage? We use the example of Casa Colina, which is in Laverne, or is that Pomona? I think it's Pomona. It's right on the border. On Bonita Avenue and Gary Avenue, Casa Colina. That's a hospital where you go to get therapy, physical therapy after injuries, after illness. It's additional care out of the main hospital or the major coverage that you had. Who pays for that? Does your insurance cover that? Or do you have to get additional insurance? Or do you have to use California Medicaid to pay for that insurance? You should be aware of these costs for you and your family up front before you get involved in these situations. So we have a gentleman here in this problem on page 312 named Ronald Roth, who starts his job as a controller for a company. Carol, the benefits clerk, has given him a packet. I'm sure if any of you ever taken a job, you're given a packet of your benefits. That packet of benefits will explain the amount of insurance and your responsibilities and their responsibilities in that plan. And it offers different varieties of care. In this case, you have a choice between a private insurance company, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield, an HMO, which might like be Kaiser, and a PPO. Now, Blue Cross Blue Shield might offer a PPO and an HMO, but also they have a private or co-insurance plan available. Whatever you pick, here are the costs. Monthly premium for the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. The HMO is provided to employees free of charge. Now, let me give you a piece of advice. When it says free of charge with an HMO, you might get Dr. Frankenstein as a doctor in your portfolio and your coverage, and you don't know you're taking a big risk there. So be wary. I probably shouldn't tell you that. Some of you guys might be working, your parents might be working for an HMO. But some of you, when you see the health insurance coverage is free for you, I want to know who's treating me. If somebody has a degree from, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, tech as a doctor, I would definitely stay away from that type of health insurance plan. But that's what an HMO is about. And then also the point of service plan and other types of plans that this gentleman can determine. Well, in question 6, it says, what annual medical costs will Ronald pay using the sample medical expenses provided he enrolls in that private insurance plan, Blue Cross Blue Shield? Well, if you have monthly payments of $42.32 in that plan, that's $507.84 in annual premiums, plus you have a $500 deductible, which cover 4 office visits and $30.80 in prescriptions. What that means is that's what you have to pay before the insurance kicks in. You add all that up, $1,038.64 in annual payments to have health insurance under the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. What are the medical costs if he decides in number 7 to enroll in an HMO plan? All right. Well, all the HMO plan has is a $50 copayment. That's all you have to pay. When you go see Dr. Frankenstein and he for a medical checkup, and it's all you have to pay is $50, nothing else. That's what an HMO plan is. Now, I'm kind of teasing that a little bit, but many of us are on an HMO plan. Kaiser Permanente, you want a medical checkup, you want to, just to make sure all the plumbing is working. You go into the provider network of Kaiser Permanente. They give you a doctor. They charge you $50. Everything else is covered. All the other costs are covered. Now, again, some people think that's good. Some people, I want to make sure I feel comfortable with my doctor. But that's what an HMO plan. And in question 8, if Ronald selects the point of service or the POS plan, what is his annual medical cost? Well, you have premiums of $293.28 annually. You have a $500 deductible, and you have a $10 for insurance, that's $803.28. The point I'm trying to make by this exercise is that health insurance has all different costs for all different people based on the services that the employer is willing to pay for, and the services that you're willing to pay for, and the proper medical coverage that you expect. If you're young, like a Tanner, and you're healthy and you don't have any illnesses, you probably go with the cheaper plan, the HMO. Oh, I'll pay $50 when I go to the doctor. That's all I have to pay? Cool. You don't have to worry about anything else. But if you're an old gangster like me and is afraid of the Dr. Frankensteins of the world, I'm going to get the PPO plan or the private insurance plan because I want to choose where I go and see. I want to get maximum coverage, so I'm going to pick that plan. And then you have to find if you have children or you have dependents. You have to make sure that is involved. Now, again, another subject involved on this, and that the textbook spends a little bit of time on, but not much, but some of you are already being responsible or monitoring the expenses of your parents or your family, your grandparents. That's Medicare. Once you turn 62 years of age, you qualify for Medicare. That's if you're born before a certain time. After a certain time, it's 65 years of age, you qualify. Your grandparents will be part of the 62 years old and they're already into Medicare. Some of us right on the border of that wait till they're 65 to get Medicare. But what Medicare is, it's just like an HMO plan. Just like an HMO plan. They will cover certain expenses. You have a co-payment like $50, but the government will pick up the tab for everything. Now, usually the Medicare plans are run through Blue Cross Blue Shield, run through the main health insurance providers. The government contracts out that with them. But that's the issue with Medicare. Now, a lot of you individually do not have to worry about that, but many of you do have to worry about that if you're monitoring your parents' or your grandparents' expenses or health. You should be aware of what Medicare is. There's a great website, irs.com, or excuse me, Social Security Administration.com, that gives you the details about Medicare. I'm not going to spend too much time. They're a bunch of young guys. But if you are responsible for your parents or your grandparents, you should also be aware of Medicare. It's a biggie. Okay, so that's a little review of the types of charges that you can get. I would be specifically know what's the difference between a PPO and an HMO plan. That's important. I would especially know what the definition of a deductible is. Kind of like automobile insurance, in the same sort of way. What is a deductible? That's what you have to pay in regards to your medical care. So those are the key parts of medical insurance. But I think the most personal thing to take out of this is to make sure you understand when you take on a new job or you take the responsibility of dealing with health insurance costs, that you research and you find out what's going on with that. That's very important. You should even ask your parents right now if you're planning on staying at home, once you graduate, or keeping the same lifestyle that you have now, maybe living with the homeboys in a house or whatever, or doing whatever you want to do. You might want to make sure who is covering your health insurance once you leave the university this summer. Are you on your parents' plan? Can you get insurance on your own? What's going on with that? That's very important to remember as you go forward, is who's covering or how you are covered for health insurance. Now you don't think about that, but if you get injured, if you get the flu, and it gets kind of creepy with that flu, and you don't know what's going on, you want to go to a doctor. You want to find out what's happening. So you should all make sure what is your current health insurance plan. That is very important. Don't wait until you get sick to find that out. Find it out now. Ask your parents. If you're responsible for your own financial affairs now, make sure you understand what type of health insurance coverage, the positives and the limitations and negatives to that plan. If you have to go see Dr. Frankenstein and save on costs, but Dr. Frankenstein scares the hell out of you, you might want to reassess that. If you get the coverage that is important and makes you feel safe, and what is the cost of that and how you manage that is very important. Okay, that's Professor Hassey's political commentary of the day. And I apologize if I offended anybody with the Dr. Frankenstein stuff. But trust me, I've been to some Dr. Frankensteins in my day. They scare the hell out of me. All right, so that's that. All right, let's bring up our last topic for today. And let me see if I can find this here. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Seems lately, with the last couple of days, with all this rainy weather, computer networking and computers, the Zoom, the WebEx, all the platforms that we use to teach has been a little bit spotty, on and off, or a lot slower. And I think part of that has to do with the weather outside. I don't know if any of you have been running into that, but I certainly have. Okay, one last thing before we call it a week and move on to grander things next week, is I want to make sure that I'm going to be starting to post for you all. And again, if you don't want to pay attention to it, don't worry about it. But we're going to start doing a couple of minutes a week or just a reference for you about careers, about jobs, about what's going to happen to the job market in the future. If any of you are thinking about careers in retail or manufacturing these days, that's the prospects of the future is a little scary on that one. And make sure you're aware of that. If some of you are thinking about going into marketing or high tech, technology, if some of you are thinking about going into the military, or some of you thinking about going into public service or uh, public administration, government work, you should be aware of what the markets are doing. A week from today, Mr. Paul Boylachek is going to be joining our class. A week from today, Paul Boylachek is the career representative for the College of Business. And Paul will be coming on board in a week to just talk about the job market, talk about what the university can do for you, and talk about what you can do for yourself looking forward into the job market. Now, again, many of you are locked in. Some of you are locked in to jobs now, either through family or through the job that you have while you're in school. You want to still make sure that you are comfortable in what the future holds for that job. So Mr. Boyacek will be coming on our online session a week from today to talk about that. And also, if you note here's our Blackboard site, and notice down here at the bottom, I have what is called a file folder called Careers. If you click on those careers, you'll have a variety of information about careers in a variety of different types of areas: accounting, insurance, human resources, sample good and bad resumes, all different types of information about a career in those areas. If any of you are interested in that or interested in some of those careers, you might want to take a gander at some of that information, and I will be updating that information more relative to today. All this data here is when everybody was working and everything was fine. But now things have changed in our economy, especially in the retail industry, especially in the banking industry. You're still going to need accountants, you're still going to need finance people, and you're still going to need marketers. It's just that the marketers might have to be working from home. But these are changing, and I want you all to be aware of part of this class in personal finance is the type of careers or what's going on in the market. And Paul Boylachek will be here a week from today to talk about that and answer any questions you all might have in that. Also, in another month or so, not through this Zoom site for our class, but Professor Hasse will be offering mock interviews, resume reviewing and mock interviews about how to have a job interview online instead of going in person. What should you do to prepare for a job interview? Let's say Mr. Benson is going on a job interview, and I pick on you, Jacob, because you're right in front of me. Mr. Benson is going on a job interview, and the employer says, well, you know, you can't come and see us. How about I do an online interview with you through Zoom or through WebEx or through Skype? That's a whole different way of presenting yourself online in a resume and in an interview. And we're going to be doing some mock interviews and recording them later on. Now, they're not going to be associated with this class, but they'll be on our YouTube playlist. So things like that, careers, guidance, information, resources, mock interviews. We'll be doing this in the next few weeks and a month of our class, and you'll have those opportunities to take advantage of that. And I urge some of you to if you're not interested, fine, but also even if you're not interested, well, Mr. Hasse, I got my job, or I'm going to go to grad school, or I got myself all set up, I'm going to go to Europe and play basketball, or I'm going to do this, you know, whatever. That's fine, but at the same time, you should go and make sure you are aware of these resources for down the road. You will be coming back from Europe after playing basketball. You will be maybe looking for a new job at the end of this year or next. You will be doing some things will change. So knowing where these resources are, knowing that what you can rely on, you know, part of your tuition that you pay at the University of Laverne goes to career services after you graduate. They're going to help you after you leave the institution. You can refer to them, you can call them. So you should be aware of that. You should be aware of those resources, and that's something that I want you all to concentrate on if you or know that they're available to you. So we have a careers file folder in our Blackboard. Paul Boylichek will be here a week from today. Also, I'm going to be having, in about a month, I'm going to have a University of Laverne alumnus who works for JP Morgan Chase in the banking industry, who runs an office in Pasadena. He's going to be coming onto our site to talk about the finance, hiring of finance and accounting people, and what's the status in the real world about that profession. Also, I'm trying to get somebody from the marketing world to come into our class to talk about that. And if any of you have any other suggestions about that, let me know. Areas that you want me to get some expertise in, and to go forward in our class. We have 6 weeks left. We got a lot of time, and to bring in people that you want to hear about in the market, in careers, please let me know and give me suggestions. So I have Paul Boylichek. I have a University of Laverne alumnus who works for JP Morgan Chase. I'm working on, and probably will get somebody from the marketing industry. I don't think I'll concentrate on insurance, but whatever else. Maybe somebody from, I know some of our students in our class, and I don't want to name their names, are thinking about going into university business, working for university as a coach, as a teacher, or whatever. Hopefully I might have somebody from our career services department from the campus, in addition to Paul, talk about that. So again, we'll be doing this as going forward, talking about careers, talking about the market, talking about the world as that sees fit. So any suggestions you all might have, I'd appreciate it. It would help me gather this information. So that's where we stand. Let's end this today. A couple things. I will post your quiz grades promptly as soon as I finish that up today. Secondly, if any of you have any issues or questions, remember we have office hours. Our office hours are every Tuesday from 1 to 3. I was on my office hours yesterday. Nobody came. I sat for 2 hours with this stupid headset on, staring at the computer, and nobody showed up. Charlie, why didn't you call me yesterday? I needed some companionship. But be that as it may, you have office hours that you can come and ask me questions. Let me just make sure, I'm looking at our class now. I'm make sure that I got everybody here. Ivan, I see you came on. Samantha, Sam, good, nice to see you. Is Lucas Benstead here? I don't see him. Luke. All right. Nice to see Chris come on board today. Chris, we've missed you. Bernice, we missed you the other day. Nice of you to be here. Bernice, thank you. And I think that's it for now. Palm, I hope everything's okay back in your country and you're safe. And I'm sure you're missing a lot of golf. So that's where we stand. Guys, be safe. Look for those quiz grades. Next week, we talk about Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is a new world assignment for us. We're going to be talking about how you use life insurance, or also life insurance companies, as investments or planning into the future. We'll talk about that next week. And take a look at your portfolio. Make sure you follow the plan or the setup that I have, because we're going to have more questions on that in the future. All right, one last thing. Anybody have any questions or concerns? All right, I hope the classes are going well for you. I hope your teachers are doing their jobs. And as you can see, look at my virtual background today. Check that one out. Look at, I'm like in a classroom. How cool is that? All right, wait a minute. Let's change something here. Wait a minute. Maybe I feel a little bit more aggressive. Maybe I feel more scholarly. Oh, let's go to the library and do some research on our paper. Let's go to the library. See, now I've all of a sudden gone from being in the classroom. Now I'm at the library, at the Wilson Library at Laverne, all by myself, looking at the stacks of books. But let's try something even better before I go. Let's go to another place. Let's check this out. This is more in line with what I want to do. There we go, guys. I'm in Palm Springs, right by the pool. Just played a round of golf. I'm back having a nice cold Diet Coke, and I'm sitting by the pool in Palm Springs. There we go. All right, so we just did a quick tour of my life, which is not too exciting. Yes, you're right, Julio. The magic of a green screen. God love it. All right. If nobody has anything, Jared, thanks for the hand. You guys be careful. You know, this is going to be this week and next. We talked about this on Monday, are going to be the worst times to be out in public and get in trouble with the illness. Make sure you guys protect yourself, wear a mask, and be good. The quicker we get out of this, the quicker we can be back on the ball fields, the quicker we can be back with our homeboys and enjoying our family outside, and me getting back on the golf course. So let's do that to get all healthy. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Monday morning. Take care. Adios.
Thank you.
Economically efficient.
Thank you very much. Now go back to bed. Bernice, good to see you. Take care, Julian. Adios.